a game guys.
But if you look at Nick Chubb yards per carry, and I don't know how much that specific stat voters look into, he's one of the all-time greats in yards per carry.
I think that's the apples-to-apples stat. I really do.
Chubb's not close right now. If it was to end, unfortunately, he hasn't played enough.
Yeah, no, now call up Gale Sayers' career.
Yeah.
And compare his numbers to Gale Sayers.
Terrell Davis.
Now, granted, Gale Sayers played when they played 14 games.
Mm-hmm.
But Gale Sayers was all-time great for 5 years, and the injuries ran him out. Terrell Davis.
I feel like it was just a different era, and you're right. His numbers are better than Gale Sayers for his career. Gale Sayers didn't even.
You know what else we're not factoring in?
People.
All-time fantastic quality human being, and that matters.
And they're gonna
because
the media.
As of today, let's say Nick Chubb never plays another football game in his career. He's not in the top 30 in career rushing yards.
No, now you talk about different era.
He has one All-Pro on his resume.
You know what, though? Here's why I would say that stat is irrelevant. Read off the top 5 on that list.
Oh, it's all old. I mean, well, Frank Gore's not old, but it's Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Frank Gore, Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson.
Right. So that was
those guys
all
were
played in the area. They all played in the era where that's how you won. That's how you won championships.
No, listen. Nick Chubb is on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He's a Hall of Fame caliber player. Right now, he doesn't have the numbers to justify being.
He doesn't have he has the per carry numbers and per game numbers. Think about this, guys.
He's just below 100 yards a game, isn't he?
Do you know where
84.5?
Do you know where Nick Chubb ranks in yards per attempt for career?
It's like third.
Amongst running backs.
It's like second or third.
Because there's quarterbacks at the top.
Probably first.
No, I think Jim Brown has more.
He is third, not Jim Brown. No. Number 1 is Marion Motley.
No. Okay.
Averaged 5.7 yards per carry.
Isn't Jamal Charles up there too?
Jamal Charles
is up there. Yes.
Number 2, 5.4. Nick Chubb 3 at 5.3, and then Jim Brown is 4th.
Here's how he gets in. The linchpin is Frank Gore. Is Frank Gore going to get in the Hall of Fame?
See, that's a tough one, too, because he did it for so long.
See, I think a better comparison is Jamal Charles.
I don't think Charles is a Hall of Famer.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't think Gore is either, to be perfectly honest.
If you end up 3 all-time on the list, right? And so if you say, all right, well, it's borderline that Frank Gore gets in, everybody would tell you that Nick Chubb is 10 times the running back.
Sure. I don't have Gore in.
Now, if you look at yards per game, career-wise, number 1 all-time, Jim Brown. Number 2, Barry Sanders.
He's the only one over 100 yards, right?
That's correct. Barry Sanders, 99.8.
Yeah, I knew he was just below it.
Number 3, Terrell Davis. Number 4, Eric Dickerson. Number 5, Walter Payton. All of those guys in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Now, number 6 is never getting in the Hall of Fame. That's Clinton Portis.
No, he's not.
I would not have guessed he was 6th all time.
Yeah, no, when he was good, though, he was very good.
Number 7 is the only active player ahead of Nick Chubb. He hasn't played that many years, but Jonathan Taylor is 7th all time. Number 8 is Billy Sims, really good player, but not a Hall of Famer. And then Nick Chubb is 9th. But the guys who are at 10, 11, 12, 13, and 15, all Hall of Famers. Curtis Martin, O.J. Simpson, Edgerrin James, and Emmitt Smith, and Earl Campbell.
That's really
he's ahead of Adrian Peterson in yards per game.
Wow. The Jamal Charles case, and this is why I think he's a better example, is the yards per carry. They're 2 of the top all time. For Charles' career, 4 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pro teams. Now he played longer.
How long was his career?
9 years.
Yeah.
So he played longer, but in that time, 3 All-Pros, 4 Pro Bowls, and his yards per carry is the stat that stands out above all the rest of Jamal Charles.
Here's the thing.
Nick Chubb, real quick. Nick Chubb, through 5 years, and you count 6 if you want to count last year, but obviously nothing. 4 Pro Bowls, just like Jamal Charles, 1 All-Pro. And they're right in the same category in terms of their yards per carry. Chubb's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I just think right now he's only done it for 5 years. It's not long enough.
But you also got to take it into consideration. Nick Chubb is one of the most beloved players of his generation.
Yeah, but I don't. That moves Browns fans. I don't know that.
No. But I'm talking about nationally. When you talk about the person that Nick Chubb is,
he has Walter Payton type person status.
I agree. I would say this. If Nick Chubb retires today, he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting case.
I think 2 more years. I think you said originally. Because here's the thing. Let's compare him to Terrell Davis, who got in based on a short window of greatness.
Short. Yeah.
Terrell Davis is only 58th on the all-time rushing list with 7,600 yards. Right now, Nick Chubb is 81st. He's only 100 yards ahead of Joe Mixon, who we would never think of for the Hall of Fame. No. So he's got to get higher on that list. However, at 6,500 yards, let's say he rushes for another
2,000
in his career.
Yeah,
gets to 8,500. That would put him 43rd all time, which would put him ahead of Hall of Famers like Larry Zonka and Terrell Davis and Leroy Kelly.
All he need is another. If he wins Comeback Player of the Year, or if he gives me a season after this knee injury, where it's 1,400, he's in. Because you got to take into consideration, people are going to say he played in the SEC and he tore up a knee horrifically twice.
Yeah. Did you guys see him when he did his interview the other day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he can't work legs, but he's working upper body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we could see of him in that shot, he looked bigger and more defined than I've seen him.
I think he's going to bounce back, and it may take him until the second half of the season. But I think if Nick Chubb has 2,000 or more yards, and I think he's going to have more than that. I wouldn't be surprised if he had another 4,000 yards in his career.
Well, if he gets 4,000, you can rubber stamp him.
But I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame yet. But I think he has a good chance to get there.
Yeah, he's on that path.
But nobody else is. I mean, and to say you have two potential Hall of Famers.
Well, Myles Garrett is.
No, I meant besides Myles Garrett and Chubb.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And in a way, it sounds like a slight, but there's not that many guys in the Hall of Fame.
No, and for you to have two on the same team and they're on different sides of the ball, you would expect there to be a level of dominance that hasn't been there.
Yeah, let's look at the other AFC North team. Right, the other AFC North teams. Let's look at the Ravens. Who do the Ravens have that's on a Hall of Fame track?
Well, the Steelers have two guys on
Lamar
defense.
Jackson.
Is Lamar definitely on a Hall of Fame track?
Two MVPs.
Yeah, I think so. But he's got to have playoff success.
But
have more.
But he's had no playoff success, and his other years he's been mediocre.
I mean, they got.
Is there a two-time league MVP that's not in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so. Do you count Derrick Henry as a Raven? He's on a Hall of Fame track.
I don't think he played for the Ravens.
Derrick Henry is definitely a Hall of Famer.
But he's on the track.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, he's done enough for me.
He has not had 10. He doesn't gotten to 10,000 yards.
No,
yet,
he hasn't. But to me, he's a Hall of Famer.
Did he get 2,000 yards?
I don't think so.
Derrick Henry, yes, he did.
He have one
I believe he did have a 2,000-yard season.
And he had
maybe just over 2,000.
They have anybody,
or just under, maybe.
Is Justin Tucker the next kicker to get in the Hall of Fame?
Justin Tucker's in.
Probably.
Derrick Henry did have 2,000.
Just barely, right?
And by the way, he rushed for 2,000.
The Steelers have two guys right now on defense that are Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Watt and Hayward.
Yeah. They don't have anybody on offense.
Now I'm not sure, because after looking over how few players in the Hall of Fame, I'm not sure Hayward's definitely a Hall of Famer. I don't know. Steelers have anybody on offense? No.
Hey, he's
been a big part of what they do for a long time.
If you're saying Lamar Jackson's on a Hall of Fame track, then is Joe Burrow on a Hall of Fame track? Or no, because he hasn't won MVP?
Well, he's a two-time MVP. I don't know that there's a two-time MVP that's not in the Hall of Fame.
Cam Hayward's definitely. I just looked at his career.
Cam Hayward.
He has 4 All-Pro first teams in his career.
Yeah,
he's in.
He's
I don't know that there may. Mike, do you know that there aren't a number of other defensive players that have 4 first teams?
When you as a D lineman, when you watch Cam Hayward, he's
he never stood out.
He
doesn't stand out like the all-time greats do.
Oh no!
I think he's there, Bull.
Man, listen,
guys, it's only 50. There's not that many Hall of Famers.
When you are watching Cam Hayward,
there's no two-time.
You cannot really block him like that. Like, he's never blockable. Like, since he's been out, he has not been blocked.
Look at how long he's been in the league too.
You can't
Mike,
run
what
the ball.
did you say about the two-time?
Here's the list of players who have won 2 MVPs. They're all in the Hall of Fame.
That's very short.
Peyton, Aaron Rodgers,
Brady,
Jim Brown, Brett Favre, Johnny Unitas, Mahomes, Montana, Warner, Steve Young, Lamar Jackson. It's a list of 11.
Of all the names you named, the one that's not like the others is
Lamar.
Jackson in the lack of playoff success.
Lamar Jackson is, obviously he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame if he retired right now because he hasn't played enough. But
why wouldn't he?
You can't go to the Hall of Fame based
Lamar
on 2
Jackson?
good seasons.
Yeah, no, he's only, 28 years old?
Hold on. Lamar Jackson is the greatest running quarterback ever.
It doesn't matter. He's only had 2 good seasons.
Yeah.
And 2 MVPs. What are you talking about?
You don't go to the Hall of Fame based on 2 seasons.
Yeah, I need playoff success, guys. For the Hall of Fame, I need it, man.
You think Lamar Jackson would be in the Hall of Fame?
You play the most important position in the game, and your team has had minimal playoff success under you.
He's a walking Hall of Famer.
No. I don't see that.
I don't think so.
Who has gotten in the Hall of Fame based on 2 years?
Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You look at the people who are in the Hall of Fame with that caliber of resume, but we're diminishing the man's resume.
No, watch. But because of the lack of playoff success?
That is not a prerequisite for a Hall of Famer.
Let's face it, it definitely matters in the vote.
All of those other guys have other things on their resume. Lamar's got nothing else.
What you mean?
He's had 2 good seasons.
How is he?
Those guys all played over a dozen great seasons.
I think they all won Super Bowls.
If you telling me that you got, let's be clear, Jim Kelly's in the Hall of Fame. What Super Bowls has he won?
Well, it took his team to 4.
He got the 4 Super Bowls.
But you didn't win.
It's not.
Lamar hasn't been to 1.
It's not just about that.
How many MVPs Jim Kelly got?
I don't even know.
How many Super Bowls he got?
It's not just. You're making it about one thing.
But I'm getting you saying
Mike,
you
diminishing. Is he a Hall of Famer
I'm not diminishing. He's played 5
Lamar
years
Jackson
and had
right
2
now
good
walks
years.
away from the game. Is he getting a gold jacket?
I don't think so yet.
No chance.
And you know what? And I think
I'm not saying he can't.
If you could
he
get
wouldn't now.
Watch this.
Nobody would.
If Lamar Jackson just does what he does right now and never wins a championship, he plays 4 more years, 3 more years, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, I'll give you that. But right now, today.
Well, it depends on what he does.
If he plays 3 or 4 years at a MVP level, or he just plays.
No, listen, he's not. He has played at relatively at an MVP level his whole career.
What's his playoff record as a starting quarterback? 2-5.
His career playoff record is 2-4.
Okay, not good.
Okay,
but I don't agree. I actually disagree with both of you. I don't think his playoff record eliminates him alone.
Well, what if he's Patrick Mahomes and he's got 2 Super Bowls or 3 Super Bowls?
Patrick Mahomes is the only player in the NFL now, in my opinion, that has not played enough years to traditionally make the Hall of Fame, but would if he retired today.
Okay,
because Patrick Mahomes has been a superstar every year in the league.
Every year.
Lamar Jackson's been great twice, 2 years. It's not enough.
And his other years, you look at and you say, how did the MVP fall down to this level?
The man has 2 MVPs.
But you got nothing else. You just keep saying the same thing.
That's enough. You're the best player. You're the best player
for 2 years.
So how many people have done it? If it's so easy that caveman could do it, why don't it count?
Nobody's saying it's not easy or that it's not a great accomplishment. It is, but there's got to be something else.
All right. Well, can we look at the double MVPs? How many of them won Super Bowls?
I think all of them.
Give me a second.
As you were Young, Montana, Brady, Favre. The others, it feels like
here are the MVP winners.
2 MVP winners.
Multiple MVPs.
Yeah.
No, that's not the right list.
Brady, Manning, Favre, Young, Montana.
Okay, here it is. Yep. Peyton, MVP in Super Bowl, yes.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl, yes. Tom Brady, Super Bowl, yes. Johnny Unitas?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Brett Favre?
Yes.
Jim Brown?
No.
Wait a minute.
No.
Johnny Unitas lost Super Bowl 3 to the Jets. Did they win 5? Did they win 4 or 5?
I don't know. That was so long ago. I don't know. Jim Brown won championships. He didn't win he won a championship. He didn't win a Super Bowl.
Well, he didn't play in the Super Bowl era.
Pre-Super Bowl.
He didn't play in the Super Bowl.
I mean,
but yes, won championships.
Yes.
I mean,
and you know what? Johnny Unitas won championships in the non-Super Bowl era too.
Right.
But G, I'm getting to one that's gonna help your point here. Steve Young? Yes.
He won a Super Bowl.
Mahomes? Yes. Kurt Warner?
He won a Super Bowl.
Kurt Warner won a Super Bowl. What are you talking
he did.
about?
Never mind.
Yeah, the Rams. And should have won too.
I was thinking the Tennessee. No, they won the Tennessee game. You're right.
Yes.
I had it in mind they lost.
And when the Cardinals lost to the Steelers.
Is that it?
There were 3 plays in there that you could still scratch in your head over.
Let me tell you. Gee, I love you. And I think you're misunderstanding what you're making it seem as if I'm saying the MVPs don't matter. They do matter. They're part of his resume. But you can't just have that and nothing else. It's too early in his career.
I agree.
But here's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
If I look at the way I look, you look at quarterbacks that in. Eli Manning won some championships. He's not better than Lamar Jackson.
Hold
on. Dan Fouts won championships. He's not better than Lamar Jackson.
It's different, though.
It's hard to compare. It's a different. First of all, I would not personally vote for Eli Manning for the Hall of Fame.
But what I'm saying is,
and he hasn't gotten in yet.
You can't diminish when you talk about Hall of Famer. You can't diminish the fact that this guy is the greatest rushing quarterback of all time. So, but we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
We talk about passing yards, right?
Yeah.
The greatest passer of all time.
Right.
We talk about those stats. Rushing yards count too.
And that's benefited him. The reason he's won 2 MVPs is because of the rushing stats.
So he's dynamic. He changes the
But
game.
he's only done it for 2 years.
Okay,
It's not enough.
And his team records, how many times has he been to the playoffs, right? He's been in the playoffs. How many?
Well,
every
4.
year?
I mean,
4
but
times.
He
4.
hasn't won.
And for me, I know
Yeah.
that you say that like it's not a prerequisite postseason play. It is.
It is for you. Now,
No, I mean, I've talked to a lot of voters
Yeah.
on how they make these decisions. To me, the head scratcher is Clay Matthews. He's a big head scratcher for me. Now, I know that there's a camp that say he wasn't a all-pro player enough years. I factor in everything. I look at longevity. I look at playoff success. I look at leadership skills. I look at the whole. I try to.
Right.
So for me, what would be the glaring piece of evidence against voting for him is the lack of playoff success.
Right,
And G appropriately brings up Jim Kelly. However, Jim Kelly's done something in the postseason that no one else has done.
Well,
he went to 4 straight Super Bowls.
There are quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame that didn't win a Super Bowl besides Jim Kelly.
There are, of course.
Dan
there
Marino
are.
is in the Hall of Fame.
Plunkett won Super Bowls.
But Dan Marino got in because he threw for the most yards and he was the greatest passer.
You can't be great for 2 years. That's all I'm saying. To me, my argument has nothing to do. Yes, Lamar's been bad in the. Here's the difference. You look at people who say, "Well, Dak Prescott hasn't won anything," but Dak hasn't been bad in the playoffs. People have said Josh Allen hasn't won anything. Josh Allen hasn't been bad in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson has been overall terrible in the playoffs.
Do you have his touchdowns and interceptions in the
He's
6
been
playoff
awful,
games?
but
because he has not played well.
If Lamar Jackson, the way he's played his 2 MVP seasons, if he played like that for a number of more years, he'd get in the Hall of Fame.
Of course
it's just not enough at this point.
I mean, we basically on a silver tray just gave Terry Bradshaw. And he got carried into the. He got carried.
Different time.
Bro.
Gee, it was a different time.
It was the year of the running back.
He
It
got
was the era of the
carried.
running
He
back.
had 2 Hall of Fame receivers,
the
best defense of all time.
He had more interceptions than touchdowns.
So I can't make with a straight face. I cannot sit here and serve up no Terry Bradshaw and tell me Lamar Jackson is not a Hall of Fame. That's crazy.
Did Eli Manning carry the Giants to those Super Bowls? No.
He had one of the greatest. His defense was one of the greatest of all time.
He was a good player. To me, Eli Manning's not a Hall of Famer. But
he's in.
Lamar Jackson has played like
he's
a Hall
not yet.
Lamar Jackson has played in the regular season like a Hall of Famer 2 seasons. To me, that's not enough. I wouldn't vote.
What are his
there's no
playoff
way I'd
stats?
vote for him yet.
In 6 playoff games, he has 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 75.
Yeah, that's awful. He's been awful in the playoffs.
He's got to have playoff success.
Hey, listen, man.
And it's not like they've been a big underdog in a lot of these games.
We move the goalposts a lot when we start talking about championships because we use that as the filibuster for any time that we don't agree with something. If you don't, you can't sit here and put much on did he win a championship?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with how good this player is. It's a team
But he
sport.
hasn't been good for long enough.
Oh, listen.
That's all I'm saying.
So, to me, listen, if you look at him and his trajectory, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl and he continues to do what he does and never does anything in the postseason, he's a Hall of Famer.
I agree, but he's got to do it longer, not just
and
for 2
I
years.
agree with that too.
Yeah.
I agree with that too. However, if you're a 2-time MVP and you're 2-4 in the playoffs, the evidence is there. When your team is counting on you the most, you have not been at your best.
To this point in his career,
now,
he's got more time to do it.
Eli is the antithesis of that. Eli never won a playoff game outside of the 2 years he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
But the 2 years they won the Super Bowl because of his greatness in the playoffs.
Well, yeah.
I mean, look at that last drive against the Patriots to beat the all-time greatest Patriots team. And a little bit of luck, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, everybody gets a little bit of luck. But he made some throws on that last drive.
And the rest of his career, he was just kind of a good quarterback.
You're right. He wasn't as good as Lamar Jackson, but he's got 2 rings and 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
That's right.
And it counts who he did it against, too.
Phillip Rivers
He beat Tom Brady in both.
For me, no.
Is Phillip Rivers Hall of Fame?
No, he's not for me either. And Phillip is a great example of a guy who did it for a long time at a very high level, but never played in a Super Bowl.
No, and if you're going to get in the Hall of Fame without a Super Bowl, Jim Kelly's case is unique because he went there 4 times.
Dan Marino's the example.
generally your numbers have to be so above and beyond.
As Marino's were. He was
right?
the
Like
all-time
Phillip
passing
Rivers
leader
put
when he
up
left the
really
game.
good career numbers, but they're not mind-blowing special, and he never won anything. So the combination.
You know what else is
leaves
tough,
him
guys? And I think we all get trapped in this,
Yeah.
is that we look at numbers because that's what we have. But in the 70s, when Super Bowls were won with running backs,
Yeah.
you look at Bradshaw's career numbers, and
They're
you're
terrible.
like, this guy with these numbers would be cut after 3
Joe
years.
Namath's
He's
terrible
in the
numbers.
NFL.
Yeah.
Joe
Namath,
Namath's
same
numbers
Joe
are
Namath.
trash.
But it was a different NFL. Players
Yeah.
were asked to do different things back then.
But guess what? It's a different NFL, and
Yeah.
every quarterback now is mobile. Every quarterback has
Most
to
of
run.
them, yeah.
Well,
It's a
the
new
majority,
generation,
right.
And
because the game is transformed to that.
And guess what? The man at the top of the food chain, who's the best at doing that, is Lamar Jackson.
Agreed. But he's got to play at that level for longer to get. If he retired today, I don't think anybody would vote for him for the
Well, I
Hall of
asked the
Fame.
chat this question, Jay.
Yeah.
And what do you guys think the chat said? And the question, I'll read it word for word. If he retired today, is Lamar Jackson a Hall of Famer? What do you think the chat
I would say
says?
be close to 50% would say yes.
G, what do you say?
I know.
What do you
But
think?
I'm also
What
projecting
the
on the
chat
chat.
says.
Well, listen, he's a Baltimore Raven. He be kicking our tails for long enough, so I don't know. They might be like, man, I ain't voting for nothing. I don't care if you ever get in. I would say people would say maybe 65-35 that they would say
Yes.
I
Or
think
no?
they may say no.
Oh, okay.
65-35.
I say 70-30 no, but I'm always wrong when it comes to guessing.
Boy, you're the closest. 68% say no to that.
Yeah.
32% say yes. And I hate to interrupt this conversation, but I do have to mention something real quick. We're supposed to be on Channel 3 at 12:30.
Yeah.
Right.
But the French Open's on. So we're not on Channel 3 today.
Oh,
So-
wow. You know what?
We found out mid-show. We got a text saying, by the way, there's no UCSS
And you know
on
what?
TV.
Bad job out of me, guys.
You
Joe.
forgot about that?
I knew it.
See, we
And
tripped up-
it never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So bad job out of Jay. So all those extra 7 topics that we prepared for today,
Yeah.
we'll just save for next week.
Yeah.
We'll get through the rest of the stuff. We may add
no
one at the
overtime
end.
still today. No overtime.
No overtime,
Yeah,
but
got
we
it.
will go till 12 o'clock on YouTube, so get ready to continue.
Can I
1
just say
o'clock,
something-
1
Can I
o'clock.
just say something quickly?
Yeah.
So this is a barbershop argument.
Yeah.
These are the arguments that are evergreen.
These are fun.
We don't do these enough during the off season.
We actually don't.
Yeah,
We don't.
I think these are fantastic
We
topics.
don't. These are the ones we should be talking about because this is like when people say sports talk, people think about this, like the banter or who's
Yes,
in,
people
who
love
out.
lists.
Yeah.
They love either ors.
Yeah.
They love all-time great conversations. So I think the GOAT thing is always fascinating. But this
Jay,
is
real
a
quick.
great topic.
And I like when they come up organically.
I do
because
too.
sometimes when I give it to them, if I we try to force something when it comes up
You're
like
right.
this is at its best. So that's why I was like, hey, we're supposed to move on to 2 topics by now. But I'm like, no, let's
No, I know.
Knowing that we also had till 1 o'clock and not 12:27. But when they come up organically like this, I'm not gonna ever tell y'all to shut up.
No,
Because
yeah, good job.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
let this roll because that is a fun conversation. It's engaging to the chat.
Well, what's funny
And
is
plenty
you
of
are
time.
emphatic a yes, and I'm not emphatic no, but I'm a no. I think Bull's more emphatic no than I am.
Can you imagine
But-
doing this in a Hall of Fame committee though? Like, cause this.
Oh, yeah.
This happens. Like, you got people from all across the city or all across the U.S. that maybe watched a guy, saw a guy,
Yes.
maybe in his backyard, maybe it was a rival, and you're telling people like Clay Matthews, and you're telling other guys your resume ain't good enough.
And what's interesting about that, G, is that you have someone in the media advocating for you.
Mm-hmm.
So in this committee room, when they're voting, it's like micro versus macro. A guy who has seen every snap of this player's career is trying to talk to the other 31 guys
Yeah.
and tell them what they missed by not seeing every single play that this person played.
Or the Cam Hayward conversation, like, right? Cam Hayward came up, and it's like, oh no, I know how much he wrecked our game plans every single year.
That's right.
Like
We in the AFC North recognize how great Cam Hayward is.
that dude is like, no, trust me. He might not have like 90 sacks, but no, that guy. Ask Joe Thomas about him up front. Like, ask
I
them
agree.
boys.
And by the way, I'll put a bow on it with this, and you guys can weigh in too. Lamar Jackson will end up in the Hall of Fame. I believe that Lamar Jackson is still young. He's still under 30 years old.
Yeah, his resume.
He learned his playoff progression has been there. Like, at least he made it to. Now they were home and favored to win, if I'm not mistaken, weren't they? Mm-hmm. In their playoff loss.
Yeah.
Yes.
he's got to figure out a way to take that extra step.
But you know what's so funny? Well, we look back at it like this. When Bull said, well, is Joe Burrow in? Well, what about Josh Allen?
Joe Burrow's not in.
No,
I'm saying, is he on a track?
But watch this, though.
Yeah.
It's on a track, sure.
It may be. I don't know how it's going to play out. What if Patrick Mahomes just turns into Michael Jordan?
What do you mean? Isn't he already Michael Jordan?
He just don't let nobody win.
Well, yeah.
So I look at Michael Jordan and Karl Malone and Stockton, no rings. Ewing, no rings. Barkley, no rings. These are some of the greatest players of all time. They just happen to be born the same time as Michael Jordan.
You know, it's interesting. We always talk about the class of Roethlisberger, Rivers, and Manning, Eli. And two of them played in the AFC when Tom Brady was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that is crazy, right?
Roethlisberger found a way to get in there and get rings. Rivers did not.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is tough. You're right. Now is not a great time to be an AFC quarterback.
No, and
because
again,
this guy's got a lock.
Again, we got to remember, you can't just even be great. You got to be the best of the best to get in the Hall of Fame. You guys, all right, I was just looking at defensive tackles. There are almost no defensive tackles in the Hall of Fame, at least that played in, some of the defensive tackles played in the 50s and 60s.
John Randall, Warren Sapp.
John Randall's not recent.
Well, he's for us he's recent.
Guys that have played most of their career, let's say even going back to the 80s, defensive tackle. Randy White from the Cowboys, his career ended in the 80s. Jason Taylor was an end, right?
Yeah.
Strahan was an end.
Yep.
Bruce Smith was an end.
I imagine there's way more ends than tackles.
Warren Sapp 2, John Randall 3. I mean, Alan Page, but he retired in 81.
In the 70s. And he was in the 70s.
Shout out to
older.
And the Judge, that's right.
Bob Lilly, I mean, he retired in the early 70s.
No, it's just
Cortez Kennedy is 4.
Now, listen, to me.
Dan Hampton, who played in the 80s, that's
Cortez
5.
Kennedy played for Seattle. I think
Mean Joe Green, but that was again.
70s.
I mean, that's about it.
Wow, that is small, bro.
I mean, so I don't know that Cam Hayward's getting in the Hall of Fame.
We talk about the shifting in priorities.
Yeah.
Look how much more important even the interior, but just look how much more important the defensive line is today.
Sure, but that's more about, to me, it's more about pass rushers.
Yeah.
I just don't know, to be in the Hall of Fame as a defensive tackle, all those guys that we mentioned had a lot of sacks. Where does Cam Hayward in sacks? He's just not a big sack guy.
Cam Hayward's just I always use my eye test.
How many run-stuffing defensive tackles are in the Hall of Fame? There's just not really many in there.
Cam Hayward, for his career, has 80.5 sacks.
That's more than I thought. How many did Warren Sapp finish with? Over 100, right?
I think over 100.
1 sec.
That's a whole lot.
I think he was over 100.
He had 80.5?
He had 96. So, I mean, Cam Hayward's going to be, if he has another year or two.
Hey, man.
He had 10 sacks last year. So.
I mean, if he gets 8.
Yeah. No, sorry. 10 sacks in 22
He's
and 21.
at Warren Sapp's number. He's in.
I mean, he's got a shot. I just don't think he's a lock just because there's so few defensive tackles.
Man, he is
that is fair.
He's that good.
Yeah. I mean,
would you vote for him? Because I would. I would.
Watching defensive line, when they come and they show you that tape and say this is what you're supposed to play like, he's on all the clinic tape.
Yeah, he's
so good. By the way, I would even argue that Joe Burrow's not really on a Hall of Fame track. I mean,
he's only played 4 seasons?
It's too early. He's missed too much time.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love him, but he's missed too much time.
Well, what we can say about him is, because he is Jekyll and Hyde. People think that he's always great when he plays. He's been very, very average to below average against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, but that's really it.
It is it. I mean, we've had his number, and I'm
for
not
whatever
sure
reason.
Why. But I also say I know what Hall of Fame play looks like.
Yeah.
And the year he took them to the Super Bowl,
yeah,
that was what Hall of Fame play was to me.
Right.
Now, no, he's too young.
No.
He's way too young.
He hasn't played enough games.
He could end up being Dan Marino, who went to a Super Bowl in year number 2 and never got back.
Yeah, the Bengals, I don't think of anybody on a Hall of Fame track.
I don't either.
I mean, Jamar Chase very early.
Yeah.
Somebody asked.
Through 2 years, he's done everything that you would want a Hall of Fame receiver to do through 2 years.
Somebody in chat said Donovan McNabb or Cam Newton. Nah, they ain't no Hall of Famers, though.
Neither. No, they're not.
All right, we're going to take a break, even though we are going to 12 o'clock. We still got to get ad reads.
1 o'clock, Mike.
1 o'clock, excuse me.